All right, here we go. Welcome to the Managing Happiness Show, episode number 5, where we interview successful entrepreneurs and their spouses to see how they manage to have a happy family life while dealing with the craziness of being an entrepreneur. Today's guests are, and I'm going to do my best with my Dutch accent, Marieke van der Rakt and Joost de Valk. How did I do?
Almost. It's Marieke.
Almost. Marieke.
Yes.
Marieke
Marieke
van
is
der Rakt.
also a Dutch name, but it's a different one.
Okay.
So
All right, sorry for that.
and I'm the spouse.
No, that's not true.
Say again?
She's the entrepreneur and I'm the spouse.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Well, in this case, both of you guys work for Yoast,
Yes.
Yeah.
and a lot of people who listen to this will know Yoast. Kind of pretty much everybody who has to do with SEO, WordPress, or anything internet has heard of you guys and the products that you put out there. And maybe I'll give you the mic for a second to talk about all the awesome stuff that you guys do.
Yeah, what
We do a lot of things. So we built what most people know us for probably is Yoast SEO, our WordPress plugin, which we now also have for a couple of other platforms. But we do a lot related to that as well. So we have a section of our company which we call Yoast Academy, in which we have
online
courses about SEO and everything related to that. We have some ebooks in there as well. We publish about 5 blog posts a week on topics relating to SEO. So yeah, we do a lot, and it all sort of ties back to SEO and WordPress and digital marketing and open source.
Cool. And in terms of, let's talk a little bit about your family. Oh, by the way, I saw a talk of you guys at WordCamp EU.
Yeah.
Where you both gave a presentation. It was a really good talk, actually, and made me learn a lot of the cool features that you have in the SEO plugin, which I started using right away. Helped a lot.
Good.
And you talked about that you would prefer, you showed a picture of your beautiful kids, and you said you'd prefer to talk about the kids the entire talk and not about SEO. And in this, show, we can talk about the kids all day long. We don't have to talk about SEO.
We have 4 children together, and the oldest is 11, just turned 11, and the youngest is 2, still in diapers. 3 boys, 1 girl.
Yeah.
They're really smart and beautiful.
It's awesome. So much fun. You're brave. Like having Emma, we have 1 kid, and it's already. Well, now it's actually fine, but the first
I can't hear you.
6 months or year was a real challenge for us. So having 4, hats off. That's quite something.
It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of managing.
Yeah, that's my question. How do you manage having such a large family and such a large business? How do you manage to get this under one hat?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we have that make it easier. First of all, Joost is in Wiegen, which is also where we live. So our office where we are now is just over a kilometer away from our home.
Nice.
I think the most important thing is that we're doing this together.
Yeah.
So I think it was 4 years ago now, I decided to quit my job because I was working at the university as a teacher. And then it didn't work out because you were doing things and I was pursuing my own career. And we had 3 children by then, and we had a lot of fights.
It was impossible because I would need to go somewhere and she needed to go somewhere for her academic career, which is really was. I mean, Marieke has a PhD, so she was literally having her academic career. And doing 2 careers that go in 2 different directions at the same time is very hard to do and still be around your kids as much as you want to be.
And then I thought, if I can't beat him, then I'll join.
Join him.
And that really led to an immense growth, I think, of Yoast, because, well, then we were able to grow because we were putting our energy in the same direction. And and I could have a 4th child as well.
But yeah, no, it is that. And it's like 2 days in the week I pick up the kids out of school. 2 days a week Marieke does that, and one day a week they go to daycare or to my in-laws. Um, but it's really the fact that we do this together, and that when one of the kids needs to be picked up because of whatever reason, either of us can go and we can drop our work and just go there.
Yeah, the nice thing about being your own boss that you can do
Yeah, although
things.
admittedly, I think most of our employees could do that too, because we would never tell people that their work's more important than their kids.
No, and when we were really small, people were feeling, I think, free enough to do so. And now we've given them 5 extra days a year to spend volunteering at school or doing something.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like also seeing, you are based in the Netherlands, so there's more vacation. I'm from Germany originally. We have a lot more vacation than when I moved to the US. I was pretty shocked how human unfriendly the standard work environment is.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, the thought that working more than 40 hours a week makes you more productive is just I think it's the wrong idea of what makes most people more worthwhile for their boss. And this goes for ourselves too. We notice every time when we've worked too much that you burn up a bit. You need a holiday again before you can really be as productive as you can normally be.
So we take a lot of holidays.
We take a lot of holidays.
That's awesome. Do you combine like work and vacation? For example, when you speak at WordCamp Europe or so, do you take the kids or do you turn it into a vacation?
They're not allowed in the Netherlands. You can't take your children away from school. But we did, so it's very hard to combine. But we did last year, we went to the United States and we did a few talks in California and they were all there. So we went in their summer vacation. But
nice.
Usually we don't.
Usually we can't really mix it as much as you'd sometimes want, because sometimes it would be very cool to combine the things. I remember doing a speaking gig at Disney 2 years ago where I was speaking at an internal Disney summit.
Oh, that doesn't get any better, right?
Yeah.
Just drop the kids out in the park. Right?
Yeah, at Disney World in Florida. I mean, we were literally in the middle of the park, but it was in the middle of school. And as Marieke said, that's not a legal reason in Holland to take them out of school, so we weren't allowed.
I think, well, sometimes it's a bit difficult, but in the broader picture of it, I understand the reason why you can't take your children away from school.
No, yeah, I understand that too. So it's just how the Dutch school system works, and it works pretty well. So it's not. But to be fair, I mean, we do have we go on holiday about 4 times a year. So we spend a lot of time with our kids on holidays. They certainly do enough flying for their ages.
And they are here at the offices very regularly.
Yeah.
Our youngest son even has his own how do you call it?
Crib.
No, he did.
Yeah,
he slept. Now he doesn't have anyone, but he has his card saying he's in or out of the building.
So, and I guess your older kids are also happy to go to the office because seeing what you share on Facebook, you nerd out on building Lego pieces quite a bit. So I guess
we do. So we do that with the entire team on. Every year we have one day which is called Lego Build Day, literally, and we build Legos with the entire team. And because of that, we have a lot of Legos in the office. So last year we built 52,000 bricks of Lego in one day.
Holy cow!
And I keep buying Lego throughout the year, so we have enough for that single day.
For that day.
Yeah.
I personally also think it's super important to build a great work environment and a great culture in your office because kind of work-life balance. I think the word is kind of wrong in the first place because work is such a big part of life that it has to be like something integrated that you really enjoy. You enjoy, you have to like the people that you work with, and ideally do things together that you like.
Yeah.
And judging by what I see, what you share on Facebook, you have a really good culture at Joost. What other things do you do to maintain a great culture at work?
A lot. So we have a lot of like last weekend, last Friday, we had our yearly barbecue where we have a big barbecue with all the partners and all the kids.
We used to do that at
Nice.
home, but we're now too big.
Yeah.
Too big.
Too many children going through my house. I didn't want that anymore. So now we have it in a local playground, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of things like that we do. There's a very regular, like the usual drinks, etc. But we try to we try to make it one big happy family, in many respects. Which doesn't mean that you have to tell everything that you would tell your wife, but we do have a lot of people here who like working and who have a good relationship with some of their colleagues outside of work too.
And we have a lot of people who are not working full time, so there are a lot of people who take care of the children 1 day a week, male and female.
Yeah,
and that's totally fine. And if you get a new child, you get some time off, and you'll be able. We'll celebrate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we always foster that people that worked at MaxCDN have good relationships outside of MaxCDN as well, because I personally believe it's kind of like pouring glue into your organization in terms of making reducing employee churn. Because they're happier. They even if they get like the tech industries, especially in Los Angeles and San Francisco, is pretty cutthroat in terms of poaching people away. So they get like offers on LinkedIn from recruiters all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And so you want to have this great culture that they work with their friends and that they really have a good time. So it's not only working for the money.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think our employee churn is we're approaching our 50th employee soon.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I think so far, I think about 7 or 8 people have left over the last 7 years. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to keep it that low because the company's growing bigger. But yeah, no, it is very important to keep that balance and to allow not just have our own work-life balance be good, but allow our employees to have a good work-life balance as well, and focus on that as well from an HR perspective, so that if we see that something is breaking there, that we help them fix that.
Do you measure, like, do you do like do you know Net Promoter Score?
Yeah. We've never done that.
No, we've
just hired our first agent.
Yeah, we've just hired our first
human resource manager.
Yeah.
And she's going to do these kinds of
things. So we'll probably start doing some of that. But we've never done that so far. A lot of what we do is basically because we feel that's good, and we've never formalized the process.
No. We just feel like it's the right.
Yeah.
We think that if you're good for your employees, they will be good for you as well. That's the entire.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with this.
But we never made any effort to measure.
No. So a lot of that is because of a relatively small size and now growing bigger. You need to start like formalizing some of those processes.
These processes, yeah. For us at a certain size, we start doing this. We surveyed the NPS, and we also did a very detailed survey to our employees, what they like and what they don't like about the company, and what they would like to see that improves. And we openly shared all these. We cleaned them up and summarized them, these answers. But we shared every answer that came in. Was an anonymous survey with everybody, once a year, which was quite interesting. And then in a town hall style, we figured out together what are the things that we should work on, and what people kind of want to see One big thing was that we didn't have shares straight from the start, that people want to have shares within the business, or 401k, etc. And kind of like these things resulted out of these surveys. And I think at a certain size, when you cannot really oversee everything, I think it's important that you do these ENPS, employee NPS surveys, to kind of know how, certain managers that you have treat people, etc. Would you see what, you can't be everywhere. At 50, I think it's like pretty hard to oversee everything.
It is pretty hard. Well, the advantage that we have is that we're local, so almost everyone's in the office.
Yeah, but still, now we're getting too big that I don't know everyone's opinion anymore. And we're getting as big that you can do an anonymous survey, because if you have 10 employees, everyone knows
who said what.
Who said what. Yeah. And it's a big thing, like we do. I think it's really important that I remember everyone's name, everyone's spouse's name, everyone's children's names. But it's getting really, really hard. And I would love that everyone knows each other's spouse's names as well. So every now and then, if we're getting a lot of new employees, we do know your colleague quiz. And then
nice.
I do surveys about all kind of ridiculous questions. What's your favorite color, and what was the sport you were best in when you were 8? And then people have to guess who's who. And the most, that's
nice.
Really fun.
Yeah.
It's also cool culture building exercise.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it helps because people are going to talk to each other and want to know who made the world's largest sunflower when he was 8. And then people started talking about each other, and that's in a good way. And that's a really nice way to get people to know each other.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
It's always also slightly hilarious to see to what length people will go to get questions answered.
I think Zappos does something similar. They show you when you log in, when you walk into the building and you swipe your card, they show you like 3 colleagues and you have to kind of guess their names or something like this. To kind of
yeah.
Do you have? I saw on your website that you have your company mission, your company's mission statement there.
Yeah.
Do you also have like core values and vision statement, etc.? And do you use it like as a management tool? Or as a,
Absolutely. So for us, one of the reasons I started building Yoast SEO, the plugin, was because I wanted to apply all the lessons learned from doing consulting for the bigger companies in the world, and make those lessons and the tools accessible to everyone. Which is why we call it SEO for everyone.
So not only for the people who can buy your consulting.
So there's a lot of times when we build new features, of course we have a free and a premium product, and one of the things that you see most companies do when they create a premium product is that from then on every new feature goes into premium.
Goes into the premium one, yeah.
And no longer in the free one. And we deliberately decided not to do that for some of the biggest features we've developed in the last few years. So we have a readability analysis in Yoast SEO, which we released last year, which does helps you write better text. And we decided we would make more money if we put this into premium, but we won't. We'll put this into free because we actually think this is better for the web as a whole thing. And we did the same thing recently. Just last week, we released our link counter tool, which helps you build an internal link structure in your site a lot better. And that's in our free version as well. There's some add-ons to that, which are in the premium version, but the basic functionality is in the free version. And that sort of thinking, where we really want everyone to have those sorts of tools available to them and be able to compete with the biggest sites on the web, is really is something that drives us, and where we want to. I think in the end it boils down to wanting to make differences between people smaller and instead of bigger.
You want all the ideas to be able to put out there, and everyone can make a website, but not everyone will be found, and that's where our plugin comes in, I think.
We tie into WordPress's mission quite well, and where WordPress says that they democratize publishing. and we want to make it possible for everyone to build a website that's fun.
Actually found.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are an add-on on WordPress mission.
in a way, yeah. So yes, that drives us a lot. It's about a lot of what we do ties back to that. So one of the things that we do as well is where 20% of our profits is shared with all our employees.
That's awesome.
Our weekly.
Yeah, and then another 20% of our profits goes back into our community. So we spend that on supporting core contributors for WordPress, on sponsoring WordCamps, and there's a lot of those things where people say, yeah, that's marketing. But to be honest, if it was purely marketing, you wouldn't do it because the return on investment.
The ROI is not, could be much greater. You could squeeze a lot more.
Yeah.
But
so there's a lot of that where I think our mission really drives what we do. And where if we weren't mission driven, I think we'd also be fairly bored fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of also on my question. It's like kind of what drives you personally. Do you have personal mission statements?
Well, for me personally, that would be I want the world to understand open source better, even more probably than I want the world to be able to build findable websites. I just want.
But that's all equality.
Yeah.
You want everyone to have a fair chance on the web, and open source should be part of that.
Yeah.
And our plugin is part of that.
Yeah. So I think that we have fairly similar ideas about how the world should work. You can't see this, but I'm looking Marieke in the eye right now. I think we have. So that's fairly political in a way. And I think we use Yoast as a sort of a tool to help get somewhere to move that needle, even if only a bit.
It's really awesome when you really 100% aligned with your personal mission is in line with what you do in your job. You know, you don't really work a single hour in your life because you kind of do what you're meant to do. Kind of like you really live. You fulfill, kind of the purpose why you're on this planet. You know,
I think it's a little bit big.
But we're Dutch, so we'd always downplay that.
I'm German, I can relate.
Yeah, but I think that is how Americans would put it. Yeah.
We're just doing what we like to do, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that we think of that like every minute of every day, but it is if we have the larger discussions about what should we be doing,
then we think about that.
Then all of this is what it comes back to.
And making money is really important if you have 50 employees. So sometimes you have to make a commercial decision just because you want.
Also because because you want to further your mission, you need to make money to But
I think it's the position you're in. Making money is not hard because you provide a lot of value to people, and then when you provide so much value, it's fairly easy to make money.
And it's also it becomes a question as well, like how much more money do we want to make? Is that to be honest, I don't think that making more money is necessarily the goal of what we do.
No, absolutely. It definitely does not. Once you have a roof over your head, you have enough to eat, and your basic necessities are covered. Like making more money doesn't make you more happy.
No,
at all. As what most people I think don't see, that blindly follow the American dream. You know, I have to amass as much money and things as possible, and then I'll all of a sudden be happy. You know, like I'll be happy if I have X million in the bank. And once you reach this, you realize that's not the case. Maybe I have to add a zero, and then they hustle again. You know,
but it is nice that we have the freedom to spend time with our children if we want to, and we don't. Yeah, that's a luxury, I think.
Going back to the reason why you're on this planet, you know, is this the same in the Dutch language? In German, we don't use the word job. The word job is used in German just for, let's say, you while you're in school, you work at a restaurant to make some money. It's not really something you want to do. You just do it to make a few bucks. But the actual job, I think maybe vocation is the right word in English. We say Beruf, which comes from the word Berufung, which means calling.
Yeah.
Beroep
Yeah, it's the same word. Yeah.
So,
So,
I think
yeah, I don't know whether it's that big for most people or even for us. I think we could feel that we do something meaningful to the world in a lot of other spots as well.
I thought I was doing something meaningful when I was teaching at university.
So,
yes,
within what we do at Joost, we try to do the best that we can do.
Yeah.
But I could also see myself do that somewhere else at some point.
For me, it was I think I said this before in one of the podcasts, but my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 years ago or so, and this was like quite a wake up moment for us and for me especially. Knock on wood, she's good. We just had a follow up, so everything's okay. But this was the moment when I kind of thought of me laying on my deathbed, looking back at my life, thinking, did I really do what I was supposed to do? Did I have the impact that I want to have? And then I realized that doing Max CDN was cool and fun, but not really 100% in line with what I want to do or the impact that I want to have. Because it for me it's like I want to improve people's lives, and we just had impact in the lives of our employees, but not really more than that. So this was made selling Max CDN much easier for me, because
I can imagine.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think if I look down, I think our children are the most important, and then everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's to be honest, in the day to day, it's hard to keep track of that at all times. But in the end, it is our relationships that matter a whole lot more than the software product. I think we could have an even bigger impact in life at some point, but I also don't think that we both will be doing Yoast for like the rest of our lives. I'm 35. I've got a good chunk of time ahead of me, so I think we've got something left to do at Yoast for at least a couple more years. But at some point, I can definitely see something else happen as well.
Yeah, please make sure that somebody maintains the WordPress SEO plugin.
We will. Don't worry.
Please.
He's given it his name, so it will stay the same. But there are no plans in that direction whatsoever. No.
Yeah, it's just
managing happiness is about applying business principles to family life. We use Trello to organize our family life, and we have regular meetings. We define our roles and responsibilities, our mission and vision, etc. And I'm curious to see what kind of business principles you apply to your personal life. You can share this with the audience.
We do a lot of planning. I do a lot of planning, I think. So we do planning every week, and we have good agreements on who does what.
Yeah, we have pretty set roles. One of those roles is that Marieke does the planning because I suck at planning.
Joost does most of the cooking.
I do most of the cooking. I do a lot of sports with the kids.
I do ballet. He does field hockey. He does violin lessons.
Yeah, so we have a lot of our kids have a pretty busy life. The funny thing is we have this planning board in our kitchen, which has like all the days of the week and everyone in the family. A column for everyone in the family and a row for every day of the week. And Marieke plans out every Sunday what everyone does during that week. And if you look at that, you'll soon figure out that our kids have almost as busy lives as we do.
Hmm.
because of sports and music lessons and all these other things. And we have a pretty good schedule around who does what, who goes where with what kid, and etc.
And we don't have many arguments about that. Just I do the planning, and you always do what I tell you to do. That's true. That's totally true. You never say no. I don't want to. Never.
No.
You're great.
This is the first lesson I'll teach everyone who's getting married. The secret to having a long and happy marriage is just saying yes a lot.
That's what my grandpa said.
Rule number 1.
No, but I think you know that you're not the world's best planner.
No,
right?
I'm very happy with my wife at home and our secretary here in the office, who does a lot of that and makes sure that my calendar is somewhat okay.
And you can deal with a lot, so you're not tired very.
No.
No.
So I can deal with a lot of context changes and a lot of, but yeah, no. So it's that. It's also, to be completely honest, if I look at which business things that we apply to our personal life, one of those things was also getting. I'm looking for a word that doesn't sound derogative, but a maid,
cleaning lady,
who works a lot.
Yeah.
And
so I don't do any cleaning. No, I don't do any.
Mm-hmm.
No, we do the children, but we don't do anything else at home. So the laundry and all the.
So we don't have an au pair, but we do have like someone who takes care of cleaning our house, doing our laundry, and all of that, because we value our own time more than that we want to spend it on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and also like in when you work an hour somewhere, like from a dollar or euro perspective, it doesn't make any sense to do these type of tasks yourself.
No, absolutely, and
right, and also like who enjoys. Like I personally hate it with a passion. So
so cooking is the only thing I think we're still doing.
Yeah, and
taking care of.
And I actually kind of like cooking when I have the time for it. I don't always take enough time for it, but.
And our children don't like everything.
They're hard eaters.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that's a business principle too. If you don't like doing something and you can afford to have someone else do it, then
freaking outsource it. Yeah.
Outsource it. So we outsource a lot.
We outsource everything.
Do you like all these? Who picks up whom, when, and who does what? Do you have this like written down and clearly defined, or is it just something that kind of is you have the habits of doing it because you've.
Well, we talk about it when it becomes a problem, I think, but it barely does. But that's also because I'd like to think it's not entirely true, I think, but I'd like to think we do 50-50.
I think we do at the moment, but it used to be more for me.
Yeah.
But now you're home a day and a half. I'm home a day and a half. That's exactly the same. So
we basically we both do whatever's needed when we're home, and all of that ties back to the kids because everything else is outsourced. So there's no gardening, there's no cleaning, there's no like all of that. So,
how do you manage like when you're at home with the kids to be present with them? Because for me it's always like one of the biggest struggles that I had because like I always get my mind is like at 8, like the project that I'm currently working on, like it's like automatically like a magnet always.
Yeah.
I manage that by turning off my telephone or putting it away and putting my laptop away. And Joost, do you want to say
I have slightly more issues with this.
That's why the children come to me first because sometimes he doesn't answer right away.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the issue of having too many signals. One of the things I've learned in the last year and a half, 2 years, is that I don't need 99% of my notifications.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep killing more of those. But I'm absolutely a workaholic. So it's actually pretty hard to be present. At the same time, because we have so much time with them, it's also not as much of an issue when you're there and you're not like that present, because there's definitely a lot of parents, even here in our small town, who see their kids a whole lot less than we do.
Yeah, that's true. So you can make them drinks and food and stuff, and be with your mind somewhere else.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to be present.
Yeah. No. So it's I've tried to bring to start doing. I need to actually do something. I'm not very good at being there and not like doing something.
Not doing anything.
You have to go outside.
I have to go play football with them, or play a game with them, or do something like that. If I don't do that, it's very hard for me to focus on it.
Yes, very much the same here for me. Like if I'm just like sitting there, I always drift into some work issue, and then it happens like, hey, David, Emma just said your name 5 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Exactly the same.
That happens to me a lot too. Yeah. So to be completely fair, this happens in the office too. If I'm not doing anything and people, then I'll drift into like doing something that I shouldn't be doing at that time.
But the difference is,
I'll make a T-shirt for you and me with hashtag Space Cadet.
Yeah, it is what we. What's one of the hardest things about the kind of job that we have, where also like I can do 95% of the work I do on my phone.
Yep.
And most of the time that's a good thing. Very often, but also not.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What we now that I sold Maxine, it's not that bad anymore. But before, I was like, always on my phone, like on Slack, talking to somebody about something, or like replying to email while I was at home, because of some notification. So really same issue. And the only thing that helped me was to put my phone on charge, on mute, on the cable somewhere far away, and gave people in the business my home phone number so they can call me in case something goes south. But this was like the only thing that I could do to not get sucked back into.
I think you do that when we're on a holiday.
Yeah, so when I'm on holiday, my phone goes on mute and often goes into like the bag that we take for our youngest. And that is like I basically disable even the last notifications I have.
And if something's set on fire, then they will.
Yeah,
they will get in touch with us.
Yeah, then they'll actually call. I don't get much calls, so in a way, it's also that I choose to see a lot of things that I don't necessarily need to see.
No.
This was really awesome, guys. That's really enjoyed chatting with you about this. I have like one funny answer for last, which is what is the one thing that drives you nuts about each other, and like that's really annoying.
Now I have to think of something else than the phone use.
And what's your goal on, or maybe you have solved it already, but yeah, what's the action plan of killing this habit or whatever it is, if there's one?
Yeah, I've given up.
What's the thing about me?
I know one of the things that annoys.
I don't want to get anybody in trouble. We can just skip this.
One of the things that annoys me most about Marieke is when she throws her hands up in the air and says, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that. You do that." When it's got to do with computers. So she's like
the password.
So exactly. She's the last person in our company to actually use the password manager. Because she's like, yeah, you do that for me. And I'm like, no.
But I can understand why you think that's annoying.
But other than that, I don't think we annoy each other that much. We can fight fairly well. So we're both very passionate about what we do. So if we get into an argument, the argument quickly becomes heated, but that doesn't lead to any long-term damage.
Okay.
I don't know what annoys me, except for the phone use, which really annoys me. But I think it's hard for me to stand next to you because everyone always only sees Joost the Valk. And so my role is pretty much not seen by people outside of the office. And for some time, I think you weren't aware of your stand in that. I think we've already fought that battle.
Yeah, but that is one of the harder things. It's not just even being Marieke is a woman, which is sometimes like slightly harder in the tech community. It's also that she's my wife, and because of that, people just assume that she's my secretary.
Yeah, and that annoys me. Well, beyond any boundary. Because I'm not, and I had a career before I started working here, and I did some really awesome stuff, and but I don't think that's really your fault. But I think you could do a better job in telling people.
But that is one of the harder things. To be fair, we have a board of directors at Joost of 4 people. It's the 2 of us, Michiel and Omar. Michiel, our COO, and Omar, our CTO. And a lot of what we do is the result of talking between the 4 of us. And people just basically assume that everything that we do is my idea. When most of the time, it's not. These days, I mean, in the old days, it certainly was. But now there's so many people here. There's so many bright people with great ideas. That there's a lot that comes bottom up and a lot of things, and where Marieke gets annoyed a lot is when people just assume that
you
need to talk to me to fix something, when most of the time that means I walk into her room and ask her opinion about, hey, how should we do this? Because she's a lot of these things she's just better at than I am. So it is that's something I need to be better at telling other people about. But it's
I think it's like from the history, because it's the business has your
name
name.
Help.
Company name doesn't help, and you always your avatar was always front and center, even though now you have like all the avatars of everybody, of the whole team, right?
And
but I think like with the academy that you do, I think like when I haven't checked it out, but if you do like videos there that you where you're in front of the camera, I think this is something that should solve this, right? But just like always be.
I think Marieke is very prominent now.
Not in everything, and you're really well outspoken, and it's okay. But it's hard for me sometimes.
Yeah, that is a weird thing in our relationship sometimes.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you can't really have a fight, but you know that she's uneasy about it. But you can't really do much about it because it's not my fault either. It's just that, it's hard. Anyway, we'll never solve that, I'm afraid. We'll just call the next Marieke.
Yes.
Just communicate more on your website. Oh, by the way, you should communicate all the awesome stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, we absolutely.
This should be more front and center, like what you donate and what you support, etc. I've known you for so long, and I didn't know half of it, so probably a lot.
We absolutely should. It's like and by now we have like 4 full-time people working on WordPress core that we pay for that don't do anything for us. Like there's a lot of stuff like that most people don't know.
Well, guys, this was really, really awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show and being so open about everything. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please, on one of your Since you do 4 trips a year, there's whenever you think you want to come to Turkey, please come to Bodrum and hang out with us. It would be awesome to have you.
That would be
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
We will at some point.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.